Hi, Deborah Roth here at Spirited Musings with a little bit of a croaky voice this week. My apologies. But here really to celebrate with you the return of the light. We are today on the eve of the winter solstice, tomorrow, December 21st, and tonight, therefore, will be the longest night of the year, the time of greatest darkness. And that really was for millennia, has been a time for humanity to really reflect on the past year, certainly, and to spend time thinking about how they want to move forward into the light. Now, early on, they didn't know the light was going to return. They didn't have scientists who could tell them about the movement of the sun and the moon and around the earth. And so they didn't know for sure that the sun was going to return and that light and warmth would return to the earth. So they would create rituals and celebrations to coax back the sun, in effect, sympathetic magic to with lots of candles. And you'll see I've got some candles burning in my office. I've got my sun earrings on. I've got my favorite gold scarf, all representations of the sun to help coax it back. We know, of course, nowadays that that the sun will come back and the warmth will return to the world, but they didn't know that back then. So they created all kinds of symbols in order to help that process along. Yule, the word Yule, which we know is the word, the ancient Celtic word for the winter solstice, actually means wheel. And if we look around us today, we can see evidence of all kinds of wheels in the wreaths that are hanging, that are typically associated with Christmas, but have this early nature-based pagan connection. The wreaths, more likely than not, although you can see wreaths made of pine cones and all kinds of things, but the wreaths are typically made of evergreen, which is another reminder that life is eternal, that it's an eternal cycle of death and rebirth, and reminding us today, as it did to ancient people, that the sun will return, that the vegetation will come back, and that animals will come out of hibernation and provide food. So the wreaths are a big one. Another symbol that we see nowadays are gold coins, both on Hanukkah and Christmas. And that comes from the Roman time when Romans, rich Romans obviously, would bathe in gold coins in order to absorb the notion of riches and prosperity and abundance. Gold was also associated with the Roman god, their sun god, Sol. And so it was a way of honoring him as well. Um, Another way that they would honor uh, the sun god, another sun god who was Apollo, was to throw bay and bayberry, those were sacred to Apollo, onto fire, and they would hang sprigs to welcome Apollo, so that he would turn his chariot around and bring the sun back. Other herbs were that we of course know nowadays are cinnamon and cloves and nutmeg, which we put in our baking and in our eggnog, and those have always been used to attract prosperity and abundance. Christmas trees. I love this one. In Scandinavian countries, they would bring in the people would bring in evergreens into their living rooms, into their homes, in order to provide a warm and welcome place for the tree elementals and the wood nymphs to coax them inside so that they could participate and enhance their solstice celebrations and help them to bring back the sun and bring back the light. And those same little magical nature folks are also thought to be the origin of Santa Claus's elves. So lots of really fun connections. Jingle bells, also from the Norse countries, where as the Scandinavian folks would ring them during this time of the darkest time of the year, to dispel the powers of darkness. So we have lots of ancient symbols around us to remind us of this really pivotal point on the wheel of the year, where we welcome the return of the sun and of the warmth. I want to share with you, I'll close by sharing with you a wonderful little poem that I've had for years in my files from and have offered it several times during Winter Solstice celebrations by Susan Cooper. So just close your eyes and allow this to kind of settle in. So the shortest day came, and the year died, and everywhere down the centuries of the snow-white world came people singing, dancing to drive the dark away. They lighted candles in the winter trees. They hung their homes with evergreen. They burned beseeching fires, beseeching the sun all night long to keep the year alive. And when the new year's sunshine blazed awake, they shouted, reveling. Through all the frosty ages, you can hear them echoing behind us. Listen. All the long echoes sing the same delight this shortest day, as promise wakens in the sleeping land. They carol, feast, give thanks, and dearly love their friends and hope for peace. And so do we, here, now, this year, and every year. Wishing you a beautiful, peaceful, light-filled solstice and joyful holiday season. Bye for now.